Session of my Serena here. Thanks for joining me today for the second swatching session of my Mungyo 48 color watercolor set. If you missed the first 24, I'll link it up here at the top. Otherwise, let's get going. First one here is Malachite Green. I'm going to tip this again. Hopefully I'm on screen. Kind of tipping it sideways too, which is not really good. I want it straight up and down, but I only have two hands. I could maybe support it with something, but not easily. This one I can see is a staining color as well. You can see if you put that down, you would not be able to get it up again. It would not good for lifting techniques. Alright, next one is, as I've already wet it, is deep Phthalo green. It took me a couple of years to really remember how to spell phthalo. It's one of those odd names. Pull that down a little bit. Kind of looks like a tie-dye experiment here. Rather sloppier than I wanted it to be, but oh well. It gives me the idea of the color. That's what I want. And the next one is Ochre's Green. That one I think dried up too much here. Not getting very much of a blending into light. So I will add light. No, I'm not adding light, I'm adding water. Let's be real here. Okay. That didn't come out too badly. And that, actually I like that better. I think I might have to start doing that. Just painting with the color itself. Let's try that. But that was Ochre's Green. Here comes Yellow Green. This is like the brightest green they've got. Almost looks like a May green, I would say. Let's get some water on the brush here. Lighten that up as you go down. The more distance you have to work with, going down I mean, the more of a gradient you can make it. As I'm adding more water, the wash becomes lighter and lighter. That's really more what I want. See, so it's a nice even wash. It's an even ombre look. Okay, now that was Yellow Green. Here comes Sap Green. You know, it bugs me when the pans not make that noise, but they move around when you're trying to get your color out, and it just drives me crazy. I have one set, which is actually one of my Prima sets, that I sorted the colors the way I want them, and I lifted up the pans one by one and put a dab of rubber cement on the bottom of the pan and then replaced it. It took about 24 hours to dry because it's on metal, but they're staying in place and I don't have that annoying shaking back and forth or moving back and forth when I'm trying to get the color out. Alright, so that is Sap Green. Now we're going to work on Olive Green. Wow, that is a really deep olive green. Or at least it looks like that because I have a big pool of water. That's what it is. Let's see if I can get a little bit more of the saturation up top. So I know it's, no, not really. It's about that color, okay. And as I pull it down, add more water. I'm trying to get that gradation. And I can tell I'm going to be going off screen here if I'm not already. So after this color, I'm going to reset my camera or my page. Okay, so let me tip that again. And gray-green is the next one. That's a nice deep saturated color. Look at that for, oh, don't go over the edges. For landscaping. Look at this. We'll get some white in there somehow. Let me get some of that up because that's quite intense. I want you to be able to see the actual color. I thought it was getting brighter outside. The sun was ready to come out, but now it looks like it's not. Look at that color. It's a little muddy, but I mean, sometimes you need mud in your landscape paintings. Or a little darker, you know, for portraits too. I could see you using it for that. So that was gray-green. Now we have olive brown. See what that's going to look like. I really do love the selection of browns and greens in this set. It's very nice. It's hard to do this with such a fine brush, but you know, I don't want to switch to a larger brush because I'm going to go outside the lines. I really need this fine brush to do a little more detailed work. That's one thing I learned the hard way, to get some small brushes for detailed work. I fought the idea. I don't know why. I just thought it was like a waste of money. Why can't I just use the tip of my brush to get points on things and lines? And it didn't work. Once I got the fine brushes, I was so much happier. I didn't have to fight with my supplies. Don't fight with your supplies. Okay, so that was olive brown. This is greenish yellow. That's another thing I've learned by, you know, as you go you learn more and more. Don't fight with your supplies. If something isn't working, try something different or get a new one if it's worn out. You know, don't. I should show you an old watercolor brush I have from years and years ago that I used over and over again. I didn't know any better, that it was worn out, and I just kept using it and using it. It didn't occur to me that brushes wear out. And of course I was young, it didn't matter. I wasn't doing commercial work or anything. It wasn't, you know, of great importance. But it made a difference in the quality of work I did. Alright, now we're getting into Naples Yellow. One of my favorite colors. There is that opacity to it, but it's like a cheat color. You know, you can start with this and get all kinds of colors of sand and flesh tones, and you know, it saves you a lot of mixing. And in fact, that's one of the reasons I got this set. This is, let me see if I can get that a little more of a gradient as I go down. It kind of ends very abruptly. I got this as a convenience set because, as I mentioned in one of my prior videos, I have a beautiful Schmenka set. First time I got a real nice professional set, and I've saved up and saved up for it, and I use it. It's very nice. I love it, but I find that I'm going through some of the colors very quickly. Of course, you always go through your favorite colors first, and I wanted to save the set a little bit for more finished work where it really mattered, and use another set, get another set like this one for convenience, for testing ideas, for experimenting, and for learning. And that's what this set really is for. So it doesn't have to be a, professional quality set. It just has to give me the colors I want and an idea of how my techniques will work out, how my ideas will work out. Now this color I'm using here is yellow ochre. Kind of close to Naples Yellow, but it's got that really dark portion. And as we get to the end of the row here, we've got raw umber. Now, I've seen a lot of different reviews with different paint sets or different medias, in fact, pastels and so forth, all different types of media, acrylics, where the raw umber, raw sienna, burnt sienna are totally different from company to company. There isn't really a standard. It's kind of like paintbrushes, which drives me absolutely batty. I hate that there's no standard sizing for paintbrushes. One company's 7 will be another company's 4. And you really can't compare if you want a certain size. It's hard to tell. But the umbers and the siennas have quite a variation from company to company, so just be aware of that. Alright, on to the next row. This one again is raw sienna. This one has a lot of possibilities. I always like the warmer colors like this. This has a lot of possibilities if you're doing some buildings in your landscapes. I can see like watering this down and having that nice, sunset time where your buildings may have that yellow golden tone to them. Maybe a light version of it, not very dark, not very saturated, but still you'd have that nice tone to your buildings that just relays that quality of light. This one is a burnt sienna. Now this one doesn't feel quite such a compliment to the other. This is almost the same, and in fact it's got a little more red to it, but it's a little bit opaque. I don't see that translucence in the color. Let's get that a little bit lighter as we go down. There we go. Alright. And light red is the next color that we've got on the list here. Again, once this is all dry, I'll turn this sideways and go ahead and write the names and maybe the numbers of the paints, of the colors, so that I can refer to them later. Of course, the numbers are printed on the sides of the pan, but you still want to know what the names are as you go along. The color swatch is really what gives you the information, but I do like to know the names too. Alright, so that one is light red. Now we have brown red. There's the brown red. Okay, so that one was brown red. The phone rang, so I just kind of filled that one in while we were distracted there. Alright, now the next color we have is burnt umber, and that one's kind of a nice deep brown too. That's quite a rich brown. I'm going to get that one a little light so I can see how it looks here as it goes to light. There we go. Now you can see some of the richness of that color. Can't put too much water in it because it'll turn very light too quickly. That one looks to be a little granulating, which I kind of like. That's all the rage now. These granulating colors, I love them. Alright, Van Dyke Brown is the next one. And that's always a deep, deep brown. That's almost like a black. I mean, you can, if you wanted to use it, as they say, straight out of the tube, you could kind of fudge your way into using it as a black if you have very, very dark shadows, or almost like a wrought iron fence, something like that in your paintings. But I prefer to mix some dark colors if I need to, like mix them maybe with some purples or blues, and then add a complementary color in there to kind of bring out that darkness. Alright, there we go. That is a very nice color too. There's a lot of possibility there. Alright, that was Van Dyke Brown. Now we're getting into some of the stranger colors in this set. Here is a French gray, which most watercolor artists would not use a gray out of the tray. You just mix a lighter dark color, or if you have to use black and just use a lighter version of it. Lighten it to your taste, to your needs, rather than using this. This is definitely opaque. You're not going to be able to get any transparency underneath this. So with that in mind, it's a convenience color. It's, if you draw pets or something, you may find it useful. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just not going to give you that translucent quality. Of course, the next one is black. We all know what that is. But different brands give you different qualities. Some may be not very saturated. You might not be able to get a true black, dark black with some companies' colors. This one seems fine. I'm trying to get in the corners there, and I know I'm going to mess it up. So I better quit while the going's good. One color I really find that I'm using a lot of, and they don't have it in this set, but I have it in my Schmincke set. I bought it specifically and put it in from the tube into a pan, or maybe I just bought the pan, I can't remember, but it's Payne's Gray. It's got a very nice bluish quality to it that I really like. And I use it a lot in lieu of black. So if you're doing like a monochromatic piece, it's very nice. It kind of gives it just that little pop of color, but it's not really color. It kind of fools the eye. Alright, now the next set of colors, I have heard on some reviews, it's nice that they have these colors in, these metallics or pearlescents, but they're not the best quality. As you can kind of see, there we go, that's a little more saturated. Of course, there are pieces of some kind of mica or glitter or something in here to make them shine. And as I'm watering them down, of course they're going to have less sheen on them. You can't really see it now, but I will tip the page later so you can see how saturated the shine is. It's more like, this one's more like a gray with a little bit of sheen in it. You'd far do better getting some kind of paint set like a Kuretake or some other pearlescent or metallics. But for the sake of the set, they include it. I'll give them credit for that. There are a lot of people that might use it or find it beneficial. I'd use it in a pinch. I'd probably prefer my Kuretake set, but because I have it. But if you don't, this is a complete set that's got that in it. So, it's nice to have it. I'd rather have it than not. Let me put it that way. They are a little hard to wet. in order to pull the color up. And I've heard that on different reviews, and I can corroborate that. It is a little hard to pull these colors up. And when you're working with the metallics, you often pull the color up and not the sheen, or the other way around. You're pulling up the shiny particles and not the color. So, you know, it is what it is. I'm not complaining. It is what it is. It's in there. It's nice that they've added it. Now this copper I do question, because it's not, it's almost like a deep kind of flesh color brown with a little bit of metallic in it. There's really not a lot of metallic, but it's got a strange color. It's not like a real orange metallic copper. It's almost like a brown. It's almost like one of the other browns that I swatched out earlier in this set, and they just added some mica to it. I don't like this color at all. It just, even though it's a little bit shiny, I don't know if I would have very much use for it because of the way it looks. And the last one is kind of nice. This is a Pearlescent White. And you're not going to be able to see it as I'm swatching it out, but when I flip the page a little bit, you'll be able to see that it is indeed shiny and can give some of your work a little bit of a, you know, shiny, magical look to it. With metallics, as I've recently learned, less is more. It's really better for accents, edgings, things like that. Focal points, not a full painting and not a full part of the painting, but just sections. And it can give your paintings a nice little punch. Alright, so here you have all the colors, and it really is a beautiful set. I don't know if you can see those metallics at all. I can see the pearlescent one. It's still a little wet, but you can see the pearlescent, you can see the gold, the silver and the copper. I can see the shininess on the copper, but not much on the silver. That may be the way I applied it. Let me get a closer look of these for you. I'll just pan through the colors here so you can see how nice they are, how they came out. Just really some nice vibrant colors and some nice effects. Some few granular colors there, the colors that are offering granulation. A nice section of browns and greens. I can't get over that. Here maybe we'll see some of the coppery shininess. Not much, but some. Well, I hope this gives you an idea of how the Mungyo 48 color watercolor set looks. I really like the colors. They're very saturated. Very few exceptions. There are some opaque colors in here, but it's going to suit my needs very well, and I am glad I got it. If you're a beginner, this is kind of a nice set. If you just want to play around with colors and you want a lot of different options, you don't want to do a lot of mixing. These colors are not necessarily pure hues. So in other words, they're made by mixing colors together, and they've already done that for you. So I can't guarantee what would happen if you mixed some of these colors together, further. You may get some muddy colors, but if you're a beginner and you're just learning and you're serious about learning watercolors, you might do better with a 24 set or even a 12 set of good quality paints, because you'll actually learn color theory. You'll learn mixing a lot quicker that way, and you won't get frustrated with muddy results. So they're good. It's a good start set. It's not a professional set, but it's a good set to have around if you need a second set or if you want just this one set to play around with. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video today. Make sure to like it and give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you next time.